Yesterday, we simmed through the regular season while I gave you an update on where I had been over the past few days. Today, we find ourselves in the playoffs for the very first time. Under a decade, which is pretty damn good time, I do have to admit. But, the optimism levels aren't all that high. We are on a 3-7 stretch at the end of the season through our last 10 games. We threw away an opportunity for a much more favorable matchup. Instead, we get to play the Buffalo Sabres, who were the top team in the Eastern Conference. Now, again, the good thing is here, the little bit of optimism that we have, and it is just a little bit, is that 48 wins for a conference winner is relatively low, at least from what I've seen in NHL all of my life, where you normally see a team with 50-plus wins. So that is the one, I'd say, that one glimmer of hope is that maybe, just maybe, they're not that good. They only had 6 more wins than we did. We were the 8th seed. They're the number 1. Maybe, just maybe, there is that little bit of hope. Our lineup for this series is going to start as you would expect. Again, there were some players who stepped up in a big-time way this season. I'm mainly looking at the likes of Boris Nazarov hitting 40 goals this year, which is tremendous. I mean, you look at his career so far. He's played 656 games for us. He scored 20 goals a couple of times, 30 goals for the first time last year. This year he hits 40 at age 27. Tremendous development for him, our first ever draft pick in this series. You look at the continued emergence of Vyacheslav Grigorenko, our former number 1 overall selection, who hit 36 goals this season. 3 straight years of hitting at least 36 goals, which is just tremendous. He has 145 goals in 328 career games. It's pretty damn good. Again, there are some players on this team where, they might be a little bit low in overall. Hedstrom, Norrinen, and Foss are the 3 that stand out. But thankfully, we do have that boost on the 4th line to get Benson, Norrinen, and Foss up by 3. Defensively, I think obviously the most interesting thing has to be Doughty, how he's only an 82. Afinogenov has actually matched him, which is insanity to me. He has 92 offensive awareness, by the way. This guy's a beast for an 82 overall. Not that Doughty isn't. You look at the stick checking, but he's much more physical for an offensive defenseman than you would think. He has the tremendous skating, but much more physical compared to someone like Afinogenov. So it's weird, though. Only 84 offensive awareness. The lack of him emerging as a top player, as you would expect from a number 4 overall pick, might end up being the story of the series if we don't find success. And then, of course, our 2 goaltenders. We pointed them out in the last episode that, especially Bednar, he should be able to do well. And you look at that 9-10 save percentage last year. This year, though, he struggled. If the goaltending is on point, we're competing for a division title. It wasn't. We're still lucky enough to make the playoffs. But whether or not they can turn it on here now that it really matters, time will tell. Quick thing here, actually, before we look at the Sabres. Someone was asking to see the AHL stats from this past season. Of course, I didn't really put too much emphasis on what was happening down in the AHL team. But Hughes, Clifford, Malone, Ott, and Gamble all over 50 points. And again, if you look at the players that we really care about, Kavanagh up to 34 points, Kapusta with 29, just 5 goals though. Hopefully by the end of the season, we'll see some good overall developments from those 2. And defensively, Lou Roberts is that one key defenseman for us. He had 45 points, 14 goals. So low top 4, again, not a good potential this year. It hasn't been a good potential ever, I think it's fair to say. So, yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what his ceiling is. Astles and Reismiller, 902 save percentages each. So, maybe just an off year for goaltending. I still don't think I've found the one formula for scoring that I like. Medium scoring's not bad. High scoring can be a bit too, detrimental towards goaltending, where you're going to have someone with a 9-10 save percentage winning the Vezina, But even having like medium scoring with icings and offsides off, which was the trick last year to getting scoring up, it's still not perfect. I've been messing around with it a lot, trying to figure out really that perfect combo for what I want, where you still have goalies finishing with 920, but you still have multiple players finishing with over 100 points. If I figure out the perfect formula, or if somebody already knows it, then hey, we'll use that moving forward. Let's take a look at Buffalo, shall we? Let's see what we are up against in this first round match up. Yeah, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? That's going to be a problem. Joel Farabee, Jack Eichel, and Dawson Mercer, who's now 26. He was taken 17th overall in 2020. You have Marvin, not Matt Riddle, so not quite the king of bros, maybe the prince. He is third overall, or was the third overall pick in 2023. You have Marcus Davidson, who's up to an 85, Stelio Mateos at an 87. The third line is tremendous. Casey Middlestat, Sam Reinhart, and Brendan Gallagher, who's now 35 years old, Sonny Milano, Tyson Jost, and Lewis Abney, who was another former first-round pick. They make up the fourth line. Obviously, that is tremendously well-rounded. Defensively, they're better than us. It's really good, but it's not amazing. You have Rasmus Dahlin, who is amazing, next to Henry Jokiharju, which is fine, Jokiharju. You have Brady Let's Do That Hockey next to Colin Miller, and Esa Lindell next to Chase Prisky. Again, not amazing, but not bad. Goaltending, Ukko Pekka-Luukkonen. At an 84 overall, they have Skylar Corson, who was a former second-round pick in that first draft, as their backup goaltender. Healthy scratch is Santini. Dylan Cousins is a healthy scratch. And Tuomo Varakis, which is a great name, former second-round pick. So, don't know if I agree with their decision to not play Dylan Cousins, but hey, it got them this far, so who am I to judge? I am not any more optimistic than I was just a few minutes ago. You look at these overall ratings, they have us beat in every category, which is not surprising. But crazier things have happened with this sim engine. So let's get this series underway, our first ever postseason appearance. Let's see what we can do. Can we shock the world? First period of game one, and well, that's a good way to start. Oh my god. Alright, so the series is over, right? We can end it there. Episode over, we're on to round two, right? Please, good god. 11-4 in shots. 3-0 on the board. Montgomery, Grigorenko, and Korobov. 9:31 into the first, we were up 3-0, and that score held the rest of the way. We're up 3-0 after 20 minutes. Good God. That is as perfect of a first period for this team that we could have hoped for. You want to talk about making a statement? That is making a statement, but guess what? I'm overhyping this. They're going to tie this game up. I can guarantee it. Second period, they were close. Because whenever you hype up a first period performance too much, this game will always rip it away from you. Mateos and Rasmus Dahlin on the power play. We are now tied at 19 shots apiece, and the lead is down to 1 as we start the third. Will the Sabres come back to tie this? This is why I said I wanted the series to end after 20 minutes. Because they were going to tie the game. It is 3-3. Power play chance goes to waste. Are we going to overtime, or will a team win this in regulation? The answer is overtime. Because, of course, this game won't let you have nice things. It might let you have nice things. It doesn't let me have nice things. Brady Shea ties it. We go to overtime. Pretty much even in shots. Definitely even on the scoreboard. As far as who's going to win this one, I'm going to go Benson for us or Jack Eichel for them. We go to overtime here in game one. Will the Sabres complete a comeback that will probably ruin this series for me? We're 8 minutes in. Now halfway through the overtime. Power play chance goes to waste, and the Sabres win it. Oh, God. But hey, we had hope for 45 seconds. Alright. Our first ever playoff game, and we blow a 3-0 lead. To their backup goaltender. They pulled Luukkonen. They brought in the backup. And we didn't get a single goal on them from there despite 31 shots. Oh, God. He stopped 31 unanswered shots after that first period. That is tragic. So close yet so far. A lot of minus players, huh? An .895 save percentage for Jan Bednar. A 3-0 lead after 20 minutes. And we blew it. We needed better goaltending. We needed one more goal to ice the game. And we just couldn't get it. And now the Sabres have a chance here in Game 2, still in Buffalo, to take a 2-0 series lead that would be very, very tough to come back from. First period, 2-1 for the Mariners. Nazarov gets the opening goal. 40-goal man getting on the board. Farabee's able to tie it. Less than 2 minutes later, Mizak with the goal. We're up 2-1. Luukkonen's having a rough time. We outshot them 11-5. We have the 1-goal lead. But what is the defense and goaltending going to look like from here? Second period, and it's still a 1-goal lead. Foss on the power play. I didn't even realize he was on the power play. I just want best lines. Farabee is able to get another one. So it's still a 1-goal lead as we go to the third period. Again, the power play was on point, so I didn't really feel the need to change anything up. We go to the third. It was the penalty kill and just our defense and goaltending in general that was lacking. Power play for the Sabres that goes to waste. Can we hold on? Can we get that fourth goal that we've been searching for the past 2 games to ice this one? Under 5 minutes left. Have we won in the playoffs for the very first time? Whew. Oh, that was scary. That was scary. But ultimately, we do hold on to win. Nazarov scores on the power play to ice this game. They do get one back less than a minute later, but we survive. They outshot us 32-30. We win it 4-3. I don't know if the wind outside's picking up on the microphone, but that's what it is. Am I going to go shut my window? No, because otherwise it ends up being hot as hell in here, and I refuse to let that happen. Joel Farabee with a great performance despite the loss. Nazarov with the 2 goals. Jack Eichel with 2 assists. We do hold on to get the win, 4-3. Both finals have been the score of 4-3. Bednar, a little bit better, but not really. We need a much better performance out of him. Kluchek was going to start Game 3 if Bednar lost. We get the win, so we're going to stick with him. No real way to tell where this series is going to go. We could be up 2-0. We could be down 2-0. A 1-1 split heading back home. It's not the worst look in the world. Point-wise, the top line's doing okay. I mean, I can't really complain. Appleby, it's been a rough go for him so far. And that third line's been a bit rough. Do I swap Jovo and Appleby? You know, I'm going to swap Jovanovski and Appleby. I know we lose the 1 point, but hopefully that can get the second line going a little bit. That top pairing, it's been a little bit off. So you know what? Let's bump up Doughty to play with Trafford. We'll have Montgomery with the Finnegan off. And again, we need a slightly better performance from one Jan Bednar. Game 3, our first ever playoff game on home ice. Can we make the most of it? First period, and a 2-0 lead. Boris Nazarov cannot stop scoring goals against Luukkonen in particular. They outshot us 13-6, but we are up 2-0 after 20 minutes because Nazarov has turned into the player that we were hoping he would be when we selected him with our first ever pick. Second period, we're tied. Every time. Every time, EA. Must you? Can I just not have nice things? Riddle and Mateos, 2 goals in 58 seconds to tie this game. Grigorenko restores the lead. Casey Middlestat ties it at 3. 27 shots to 14, so I guess you could say I have no right to complain that it's 3-all. Yes, Bednar has allowed 3 goals. He allowed 3 in the second period alone, but given the shot differential, maybe he doesn't deserve that much of the blame. We go to the third. It's anybody's game to win. Who will have the 2-1 series lead heading into game 4 as we have a power play here, an extended power play that I didn't think we were going to take advantage of. We do. It's Alex Holtz with the goal. Colin Miller ties it. Power play for Buffalo. Mateos scores. 5-4 Buffalo with 8 minutes left. It's not looking good. Is there a late winner? A late tying goal to be had? No, there is not. We yet again let another lead slip. 5-4 Sabres is your final. Mateos with a 3-point night. Nazarov's excellent performance was wasted ultimately. And I mean, we've allowed a lot of goals through 3 games. The defense, the goaltending, still ultimately proving to be our Achilles heel. We've had no problem scoring goals in the series. We just can't prevent them. From here, lineup-wise, it's a tough call. I mean, God, this has been... Okay, you know what? I know we're going to lose the +3, but so be it. We're going to drop Hedstrom down. He wasn't the best face-off man to begin with in terms of taking centers. Let's move Korobov over, and Benson can take draws. Let's go with that third line. Defensively, Doughty really didn't help that situation. He really didn't. So I'll be looking at something like this. Maybe? Let's go with that. Let's split up the quote-unquote big 3 on this team. Jan Bednar is taking a seat. Peter Kluchek is in. Now, in terms of who the goalie for the future is, right now with Castles and Rissmiller, it's looking a little bit rough. So, I don't know. Maybe we do have a goalie controversy ahead of us. It's game 4. Again, we could very well be up 3-0 in this series, but it is a 2-1 lead for the Sabres. We need a win here, and we need it desperately. Let's see what we can do. First period, 1-all. Montgomery on the power play. Middlestat able to tie it. I feel like I've said that a couple of times. 11 shots to 9 in our favor. Tied at 1 on the board. Second period, still tied. At the end of it, Grigorenko on the power play. Farabee scores 23 shots to 18. 2-2 on the board. We go to the third. If we fall down 3-1 in this series, we're probably done for. And as I say that, their fourth liner, Abney, scores 3-2 Buffalo. We need a goal here. Power play's been deadly all night, but not there. Mateos scores. That's going to do it. We're just not ready. From a defensive and goaltending standpoint, our lowest offensive output in this series. 5-2 is your final. The Sabres have a 3-1 series lead and will have a chance to close out this series in Game 4. We're just not ready. We've made progress. We are at the point where we've made the playoffs, but we're just not ready, and that shows, and it sucks because you could argue that we should be, but when you're getting goaltending like that, when you know that they're capable of better, when you're getting the defense that you have. I mean, I know there are only 2 weak links, but, I mean, shit, maybe there's more. It's rough. I mean, you could argue how much can one really blame the defense when the goaltending's been that bad? And I certainly get that. We're going to leave the team the same. I think we will accept our fate here. Bednar's back in for Game 5. Let's see if we can live to fight another day and force Game 6 back on home ice. If not, the season ends here, but that's okay. That's okay. First period of Game 5, and a 1-0 lead for the Sabres. Jokiharju scores again. He's been great for them in this series. Second period, 2-0 Sabres. Sam Reinhart with his first goal. It's on the power play. 26 shots to 18. And it appears as though the Sabres have figured us out offensively because we've only scored 2 goals over the last 5 periods. Farabee makes it 3. And that's going to do it, barring a ridiculous comeback. So again, we will be able to remember this season in a positive light. We make the playoffs for the very first time. The signs of progress are there, but we're just not at Buffalo's level yet from a defensive and goaltending standpoint. Luukkonen shrugs off a rough start to this series. He got pulled in Game 1. And ultimately, the Sabres take this series in 5 games. So, sucks to see the season come to a close like that, but tough to argue the result. Nazarov was great. Holtz was great. Kamel was great. 1 goal, though, for Holtz and Kamel kind of sucks. Grigorenko had 3 goals in 5 games, but from a defensive standpoint, that top line struggled. Mizak with only 2 points. Secondary scoring wasn't quite where we needed it. Rudy Jovanovski had a season to forget. He did not live up to expectations. And then defensively, kind of speaks for itself, especially Jamie Doughty, whose contract is up. Here's the thing. I know some people are already going to be like, RFA, and you might not be wrong. Now, losing an 82 overall defenseman would set this team back a bit. But what we could recoup, because he's certainly going to ask for a bit of money, what we could recoup in terms of a high-end pick could be just what we need, ultimately. So we're going to end it there. I thank you guys for watching and supporting this series. Of course, we will be back in the next one. We will go through another draft, sim through another season, and hopefully we will find ourselves in the playoffs yet again by the end of it. But I can't help but think that we have some big decisions to make ahead of us. Montgomery as an RFA, Appleby as an RFA, Doughty and a Afinogenov. And again, you look at some of the unsigned players. We do have Melnick and Stamkos, but are they enough to replace a Doughty if we were to let him go? I don't quite know.